Hey there, this is Jordan from Closet Tools, and we're going to go over some of the core features of the Closet Assistant and just how to use the app in general. A lot of people sometimes they install the app and they're like, I have no idea what's going on. So I'm here to show you a little bit about what's going on and how to use it, how to maximize your usage of it, and how to use it to get more followers, make more sales, and ultimately save you a lot of time instead of sharing for hours all day. So uh, let's check it out. So I'm already on the Closet Tools website here, and I'm using Chrome. You can use it on Chrome or Firefox, or you can use it on a mobile device. So I'm going to use the Chrome version. I already have it installed, but just so you can kind of see how to install it here, you would come to the Chrome Web Store, and there would be an install button here. I already have it, so it's already there. Then once you have it installed, you head over to Poshmark, and I'm already logged into. I have a account. It doesn't have any items in my closet or anything like that. But right away, you can see. Let me move me out of the way. You can see that the Closet Assistant shows up in the bottom corner here. Right now, I am um, a paid user of the app, so I have access to the different tabs on top. If you haven't started the free trial, or if you haven't paid for the app, then you won't have access to these tabs here that will be grayed out. And so as a paid user, I can go into the sharing tab. And when I go into the sharing tab, right away, you see that there's some share to follower, share to party, and then there's also following stuff. So if you want to follow closets and unfollow closets. So right away, this is my main feed. Right away, if I just hit share to followers, it pulls all the items on the page and it starts sharing them, just like that. And it's sharing it to the followers of my closet. And I can pause that, and it's on the 5th item, and I'll continue it, and I'll start back on the 3rd item, just because if you're in your closet and you want to keep the order of your closet, then it'll keep the order by going back just a little bit further and keep going. So that's a nice feature for sure. So I'll pause that, and so that's basically sharing in a nutshell. You can do that on any page. You can do it. So if I go to, well, first of all, let me go to a closet that has some items. So this is my wife's closet, and so she has lots of items in her closet. And so what I can do is I can just boom, share to followers, and right away, any items that are loaded on the page are sharing to my followers. And so one thing you'll notice right away, if you've never used the app before, is that it only says there's 48 items, even though she has 397 listings. And the reason for that is because you actually have to scroll down the page to load more items. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh the page, and the Closet Assistant actually has an auto scroll page button. So I can hit that, and it'll automatically scroll down the page and wait until there's no more items left on the page. And perfect, it did that. Even though it says she has 397 listings, she only has about 80 available items, which I have the available only setting on. So if available only is on, then it'll only show the available items on the desktop. On mobile, it'll show all the items, but it'll skip over the ones that aren't available. So yeah, so she's got 90 items loaded here, and you can see that. And so now, when I go back to the sharing tab and I hit share to followers, you'll see it's 1 out of 97 items. And so now it's actually sharing all of the items. And so what we can do here now is there's some more settings down here in the bottom of the tab. And you can either grab this scroll bar to scroll down, or you can use the trackpad to scroll down, whatever you want to do. And so right here you'll see some speed options. So there's fast, which is what it's on now. And fast is pretty fast. It's definitely faster than a human would share, and that's the whole goal of the Closet Assistant is to make it seem human. So I certainly wouldn't recommend sharing all of your items on fast. That's an easy way for Poshmark to be like, hey, they're using a bot. That's not good. You can easily get soft banned for a day if you share too many items in a day. So I recommend certainly at least medium. So if I hit medium, you'll see immediately that it starts to slow down. And if I hit slow, it'll go even slower. And sloth is just ridiculously slow. But even on sloth, in a 24-hour period, it'll share roughly 8,000 shares. So that's still quite a bit, even though it seems like it's really slow. if you leave it on slot all day, then you're going to be sharing a lot of items. The last speed setting is custom, and when I hit custom, what actually happens is if you go to the settings menu over here, there's this custom speed, and what it is it takes a random interval between these two numbers in seconds. So right now it's going anywhere between 5 and 10 seconds is when it'll click on the page. So there's 2 clicks for sharing. There's 1 click to launch the modal, the thing that pops up on the screen, and there's 1 click to share the item. So it's either to your followers, and then when there's a party available, it'll share to the party. And so right now it's on between 5 and 10. And so you can either really slow down the app, you can do it between 60 seconds and 120 seconds, and that would put anywhere between a minute and 2 minutes, which would be really slow. But if you only wanted to do 1,000 shares in a day or something like that, then you totally could do that. If you wanted to stay under the radar. But one thing that you can also do too is you can do very fast shares. So I can put 0.5 in here, and I can put 0.75 in here, and I can do some pretty quick sharing in the app. And once it actually took, then it starts doing that. And 0.5 to 0.75 is actually roughly about what fast is, so I could even go faster than that. But going any faster than that really is gonna throw up some red flags with Poshmark. So I'm gonna pause the sharing. And another thing that you see here, and this is a setting you'll want to select before you start sharing, is the bottom up, top down, and random. Bottom up is recommended if you want to keep your closet ordered. The order of your closet will change as you share items, but if you do bottom up, it'll share it in reverse order, and then the latest item that you share will be the one that's on top, and then your closet will be the exact same order as long as you share all of your items and don't stop halfway through or something like that. Top down will basically invert your closet, so it'll start at the top item and share down, but the last item you share will be the last item in the closet, so ultimately it'll be up at the top once you're done sharing. So it'll flip your closet. And then random, obviously, is, it randomizes what items it shares. And then lastly, down at the bottom here, we have continuous mode and we have the capture line. And so what continuous mode does is when you're in your closet, when you're in anybody's closet, it will basically share the closet over and over and over again. So as soon as it gets to the bottom, it'll jump right back up to the top, and it'll start sharing again. Or I guess if you do from the bottom up, it'll start at the bottom, go to the top, and then it'll start right back at the bottom and then go all the way up. And so that's really useful if you want to put it on a nice slow speed, run it all day, and you can have your items sharing all day on continuous mode. And just another note on continuous mode, there's some settings. If you go over to the setting menu, there's a continuous delay, which is an amount of time that's added between sharing your entire closet. So once your closet has shared all the way from, say, the bottom to the top, then it will wait this amount of time between ending the sharing of the closet and starting again. So you would want to put something like 60 seconds and like 120 seconds. So it would wait a minute, kind of like a person would. You shared all your items. I'm going to go get a drink or whatever and get right back to it. Get right back to sharing. So that's a pretty handy item. Like I said, if you want to look more like a human and just act, not like an automated bot. The other setting for continuous is the continuous loop limit. And what this does is it basically lets you limit the number of times that it runs on continuous mode. So say you have 1,000 items, and you don't want to go over 4,000 shares a day. Well, what you can do is you can put 4 in here, and then when you start continuous mode, it'll only share through your closet 4 times, and then it'll stop, and it'll give you a pop-up that says, hey, do you want to keep going or do you want to stop? And so it'll stop your sharing, and so like if you leave or whatever, then it's going to stop, and then you can come back and you can answer the pop-up and say like, I want to keep going, or no, I don't want to keep going, that's enough for today. And speaking of limits too, in the settings menu, there's also a daily sharing limit. So, if you're not just sharing your closet and you're sharing other items, or you're sharing from feeds, or you're sharing other people's items, you can put a daily limit in here. And ultimately, it's not good to have the capture pop up while you are sharing. when the captcha pops up, that's a small red flag for Poshmark that says like, hey, this person's doing something that might not be legal on the platform. And ultimately, that comes up after 1,000 or 2,000 shares in a short amount of time. And what you can do is, if you set your daily limit to something like 4,000 in a day, and then you do it nice and slow, so either sloth or on a custom, and you get it nice and slow, then you won't see those captcha pop-ups during the day, and your closet will be in the clear, and you'll get good engagement with your items because there's no red flags on your account. Ultimately, you can do upwards of 8,000 to 10,000 items in a day if you really want to push the envelope and really get shares in. But what that will do is Poshmark will red flag your account if captchas pop up, and they will decrease the engagement on your items. You won't show up in feeds as much. And so, that's not ideal, obviously, if you're wanting to make sales from the feed, even though you are technically sharing more items. And then lastly, if you go more than 10,000 items in a day, you're running the risk of getting soft banned, or what they call share jail, or, there's a bunch of names for it, where basically Poshmark blocks you from sharing for a day. And the way to test for that is if you go to share an item and you hit to my followers, the shared successfully banner does not pop up if you are in share jail. So that's something that you definitely want to avoid, if you want to keep going with your closet and stuff like that. There's nothing permanently damaging about going into share jail. It freaks some people out sometimes. It's definitely something you want to avoid, but it's not something that's going to shut down your closet or anything like that. It's just a temporary thing to say like, whoa, look, this person's doing something that's not, the platform's not supposed to do, and we're gonna shut them down for a day, just kind of as a punishment for that. All right, so I was on continuous mode, and now the last thing is the captcha alarm. So if you are sharing quickly and a captcha happens to pop up, the captcha alarm will sound a noise. It's a little jingle that will alert you. So if you're somewhere in another room, or whatever, browsing the internet on a different tab, you will hear that, and then you'll be able to answer the captcha and solve it as a human being would, because we're not robots, right? But the other thing is, with the Closet Assistant, is that it can actually solve captchas for you. And so over in the settings menu, there's a solve captchas option. And in the documentation, it explains more about getting that set up. But ultimately, you set up a 2Captcha account. And 2Captcha is a third-party service. Somebody else runs that. And what it does is it sends the captcha out to somebody else. They solve it, send back the answer, and then the Closet Assistant applies that answer to the captcha, and it solves it. And it takes anywhere upwards of 2 to 3, sometimes 4 minutes. And once you create a 2Captcha account and add money to it, you get a key. And once you paste that key into Closet Assistant and you turn on Solve Captchas, then every time a captcha pops up, the Closet Assistant will try to solve it. And it definitely gets through most of the time. Every once in a while, it does not solve it, and that's not the Closet Assistant's fault. It's on the fault of 2Captcha. And there are some settings in 2Captcha that you can use to make it more reliable. So there's a setting called 100% recognition, where you pay a little bit more, but you're 99% guaranteed to get a solution back. And so that's something that I would recommend doing for sure if you definitely want captchas always solved. I would totally do that. So yeah, that pretty much covers the sharing aspect. The other thing to note is the following stuff. And the following buttons usually goof people up, because what they expect to happen is they can go to any feed, whether it's a party or so like if I go to this party, they think that when they hit follow closets that it's going to go through and follow everybody in the feed, but that's not actually what it does. What it does is it takes pages where you can follow users and unfollow users, and that's what it works with. So if I go to somebody's closet here, hey Gary, what I can do is I can go to his followers or the people he's following. And typically you would probably go to the followers, because you would pick a closet that resembles your closet, and you would want to follow the followers of that so that they would follow you back. And so on this page, you see how it has the blue follow buttons. And so what will happen is now when I hit follow closets, you can see the buttons going from follow to following, and that means that you are following those people. And just like with the sharing, the speed settings work here too. You can change it to medium, you can change it to slow. And just like the sharing, you can follow too much in a day and you can get banned from following for a day. So those limits apply on the platform across the board. You can't do too much. And that's one of the nice things actually about using the Closet Assistant as it is, because we can't get past what Poshmark considers illegal activity on the platform. And so it's very, very hard to get banned from the platform using the Closet Assistant, simply because it physically cannot go beyond what is possible. Some of the other bots are, they can go wild and do some crazy stuff, and it's just not safe for your closet. So that's one advantage of the Closet Assistant. And so that's following there. And what you'll see too is if I hit unfollow closets, then you'll see it'll click the button again and it'll unfollow those people. So if you want to unfollow people that you've previously followed, then you use unfollow closets. There's no real advantage on the platform to unfollowing people. It's just mostly a numbers thing. Like if you want a low number of following on your closet when somebody visits your closet. Yeah, so that pretty much covers the entire sharing tab. Now we'll go over to the Lightning tab, and this is organizing your closet and edit sharing your closet. And so these are useful functions, but they're not going to help you make a lot more sales more than just sharing your items consistently and just being on the platform consistently. If you really care about your closet order, what the the organizer will do, there's this enable organizer button. So what I can do is I can take Gary's closet. Oops. I can go to his closet, go to his listings. And what the organizer will do is when you click it, it puts a purple border around these items. And what is kind of cool about it is you can take the item and you can drag it somewhere else. And you can literally reorganize your closet. Obviously, you would do this on your closet, not on Gary's closet. Then what happens is when you hit Organize Closet, it shares your items from the bottom to the top. And by doing that, it puts your closet in that order. So it will share all of your items from bottom to top very quickly. And that's pretty cool. If you really care about, maybe the top 48 items, what order they're in, that is a quick way to organize your closet. And it's kind of a cool feature. There's not really any other bots that have that. And so that's pretty neat. One of the other things is edit sharing. And so what edit sharing is it will act as if you just edited that item and you're relisting it on the platform. This used to be more useful, say about a year ago, where Poshmark used to sort items by recently listed by default. So you would show up to a brand feed like Nike, and it would be sorted by recently listed. And so what the advantage was, if you edit shared your items, it would be seen as recently listed, and you would show up at the top of that feed. Now Poshmark lists items by recently shared by default, and so you're kind of not really at much of an advantage unless somebody explicitly goes to the recently listed list on Poshmark, and then in that case, the edit sharing will work in your benefit. So, it's something that's there. It's not something that I heavily recommend that you should do like all the time. I know, if you follow things like the 30-minute method and things like that, then that's a feature that you would use. But it is there, and it is useful. And so lastly, we have the auto scroll page, which I showed you earlier. When you click it, it'll scroll down and it'll keep loading new items, and it'll keep going down as long as there's new items at the bottom. It'll keep scrolling, and you can stop it by clicking the button, and it'll send you back up to the top. And so I think that's most of what we're covering. This option, available items only, on the options menu. When you click that in a closet, it will load only the available items. So what it actually literally does is it goes over to the filtering options here, and it actually clicks this available button. So if I take that off, it clicks the all button, and that's just what it does. And so on mobile, though, that available button is not visible. And so what it does on mobile is it actually just skips over items that are sold or not for sale, or anything that's other than available. And so you'll see, all of your items loaded in that number. If you have 1,000 items and 500 of them are sold, it'll still say 1,000, but it will skip over the ones that are sold. The last setting I think that I haven't explained is the scroll to load items your closet. So when you have this highlighted, what'll happen is when you visit your closet, even though I don't have any items in my closet, I'll show you. What'll happen is as soon as you get to your closet, it'll start scrolling down to try to load items, and so that's handy if you just want to quickly get to your closet, quickly start sharing items. It'll load all your items, and then you can go to your sharing tab, and you can just start sharing to your followers, sharing to a party, and that's it. I guess I didn't demo the share to party. Now there's a party going on, so I can do that. And one thing that's cool, if you want to get a lot of followers, if you go to a party, what's neat about the continuous mode is it'll actually reload items and it'll share on continuous mode. And so I can go to this party and I can share to the party fast. And all right, so we're coming up on 48 items here, and what you'll see will happen is once it finishes that 48th item, it refreshes the feed and it starts sharing again. And so that's a cool way to get lots of followers. I don't know if you're paying attention, but just alone in that 2 minutes of sharing, I had only 74 notifications in my news, and just a couple minutes ago I have 2 more now. And so people will follow you if you share their items, and that's one easy way to get hundreds of followers, if not even thousands of followers in a whole day if you use the parties like that, because the people on the platform, they're ready to engage and follow people and stuff like that. So with that, I think that's pretty much it. That's kind of explains all the different settings. And so lastly, I can talk about some billing stuff. So if you just started a free trial, you have 7 days in the tool, and it'll bill you after 7 days if you don't end your subscription. And the way to end your subscription is by hitting this end subscription button. And what you'll see is there's a pop-up that says, are you sure you want to end your subscription? Click OK to end it, and cancel to not change anything. And so you hit OK if you want to cancel it. And canceling it does not end it immediately. You will still have access to the end of the free trial. So what you could do technically is right away, if you want to cancel it, if you're like, hey, I don't really want to pay for this thing, I just want to try it out, you can do that. You'll still have access for the 7 days, and then at the end of the 7 days, you won't get billed or anything like that. If you don't do that, at the end of the 7 days, you'll get billed, and it'll continue, and then you'll have another month access to the tool. And so then that's if you're on a monthly plan. And so I'll hit cancel there. And then the other option here is update your card info. And so what will happen is, say you are subscribed, you're paying for the tool, and you have a card change that you want to use a different card, or your card expires, you can hit update card info, you can enter your new card here, and then the closet assistant will use that card instead of the previous card in the tool for billing and things like that. Lastly, there's this information tab. It just has some links to the website. This about page takes you back to the website. This documentation and troubleshooting just takes you to the documentation page, which is very handy. It has all the information that I just shared with you in this video, and it goes through everything. And then lastly, the submit a bug or feedback sends an email directly to me. And you can talk to me, and you can ask me questions about what's going on and how to use it, and what happened. Maybe if you had issues with it or anything like that, you can click that, and it'll send me an email, and I can get back to you. So with that, I think that's that it covers pretty much everything in the Closet Assistant, and I hope you enjoy using it.